Right about now, you're about to be possessed.
He dismissed me.
He did.
Like little young Negro, get away from my child. He dismissed me. You remember that?
I do.
Why you didn't take up for me?
Not with my dad, I wouldn't.
I mean, you could have just said, well,
No.
Dad, he's my friend.
No. Just like you, when he makes up his mind.
We are, it's scary how much alike we are.
And I was standing there like, okay.
I know. We're really a lot alike.
You think so?
In some ways, yeah. Like,
You are.
I think my leadership attitude
Yeah.
is like his.
Very much. But they say women marry their father.
Yeah, yeah. And men marry them. Because you remind me of Mom a lot. You do.
Go away
I
from
mean,
me.
because we were raised very similarly.
Yeah, correct.
You know what I mean? We were raised very similarly. So, yeah, you do remind me of Mom a lot. I mean, the way you raise our children, the way you fuss at because I don't fuss at our children, but the way you fuss at our children.
There are just so many untruths being said here today, but the people know.
But you do. You remind me of, like, my mother was never one of these first ladies who gonna sit on the front row with the hat on. You know, she just did what she did. And you've always been that way. You've never been this first lady that wants to sit on the front row, you know, be seen. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Both of y'all are educators. Both of you sing in the choir. There are a lot of similarities about you all, you know? And, yeah, but yeah, your dad, I definitely have your dad's leadership demeanor.
You do.
I mean, because that's where, you know, I learned the bulk of that from him. Now, in my latter years, I think I'm becoming more and more like my dad in some ways. Like, you know, I was never, you know, Dad, he just be kissing everybody. You know.
You never been a kisser, but you take out your mom with that.
Yeah, yeah, and so, you know, a lot of people were expecting me to kiss because he kissed. I'm not doing that. I mean, it just wasn't me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
But you had your own way.
yeah, but as I've gotten older, I think I've become more and more like him in some of those ways, you know, that made him the GOAT, the pastor that he is, you know, or was, as he's retired now. But I think I'm kind of becoming more and more like him. You know, we do have a lot of similarities.
Absolutely.
You know,
And you should reflect your parents.
we're both Omegas. Aye. Did you hear that echo? You heard that echo?
Everyone heard it.
I wanted them to hear it. I wanted them to hear it. And so here we are now.
Here we are now.
35 years later, preaching, 21 years later, pastoring, and 29 years married.
Could you imagine how your life would have been different had you gone into the chaplaincy?
No, and that's another story because her dad is really responsible. I mean, God is responsible, but her dad is really responsible for me being here because I was going into the chaplaincy and I came home to be ordained for the chaplaincy. You know, and my dad is the kind of person, if he feels like you've talked to God, prayed to God, my dad is not going to jump in and say, well, I don't think you're doing it. You know, that's just not my dad. When I got back to Richmond, Dr. Paul Nichols sat me down in his office. I can't repeat all the words he said, but the gist.
He was a cusser.
I'm glad you admit
I mean,
it.
he was.
He cussed me out in class one
He
day.
cussed all of y'all out in class.
He cussed me out in front of everybody. It was a bad situation. But he sat me down, and the gist of what he said is, now you need to just cut all this foolishness out. Chaplaincy is not for you. That is not why you came to Virginia Union, and you need to get this mess out of your head. Well, as I told you, he was the most intimidating factor in the world. So there was nothing for me to say but, yes, sir. And from that, because I had started the paperwork. Literally had started the paperwork. And it was her father who said to me, this is some straight foolishness. And that's when I gave up on it and ended up marrying you. Ended up, you know, coming back. That made it possible for me to come back to how life would have been if I'd been in the chaplaincy. I don't know. I don't think I would have lasted. I quit an Albertsons job after 2 weeks.
You couldn't bag groceries.
No, this old white lady wanted me to take her.
Your mother said it was a day.
No. I didn't. So I didn't mind bagging the groceries, but this little white lady thought I was gonna take her groceries to the car in the rain. I literally took that little apron off and was like, y'all had this job. I'm not doing that.
But as the bagger, that's what you were supposed to do.
No, God wasn't in that.
See? Diva.
So
vain. I promise you, vain.
So
diva.
I say that to
who does that? 14, 15-year-old kid talking about, I'm not doing that. What?
I wasn't raised for that kind of life.
Oh, my God.
So I say all that to say, I don't know how I would have lasted in chaplaincy.
You would not have, I don't think.
Now, wait a minute. Now, first of all, I grew up a little gangster, so let's not act like I don't have nothing.
You were actually not gangster.
Would you like references?
You were not.
Would you like references?
Well, what is your definition of gangster?
I mean, back in that day, we weren't really gangsters.
Right,
you know what I mean? But a lot of my friends, the Blodgett homes were real active back then. So when we lived down here by the church, I caught the bus to school, but the bus stop was at the Blodgett homes.
Right.
So I hung out. A lot of my friends were in the Blodgett homes. A lot of my friends were from out east. So I hung with a kind of rough crowd. Then, with the Perry boys and the Lewis boys roughing me up.
Right.
I had a little roughneck in me. I broke a jaw one time. They talked about my haircut, so I broke this boy's jaw. I remember the last day of school in 7th grade, we decided not to catch the bus, me and some of the boys from the projects. Because there was this rumor out that it was a group of kids from Arlington that wanted to jump some of the kids from the projects.
All right, can y'all wrap this up, please?
So, all right, I'm about done.
I was trying. Y'all couldn't see me.
Yeah, all right, I'm about done. So instead of catching the bus that day, we walked to school to Douglas Anderson, crossed the Main Street Bridge, and we had knives. We were ready to fight. We were going to beat the hell. Oh, we were. So I don't know how I would have ended up in chaplaincy, but I'm glad I didn't. Because if I'd gone to chaplaincy, we wouldn't have started dating. We wouldn't have gotten married.
Correct.
We wouldn't have our 3 children.
Your life would be totally different.
I wouldn't be at Bethel.
Right.
And here we are.
You may have still ended up back here. Well,
I might have. But here we are.
Here we are.
All right, can y'all wrap this up, please?
Thanks.
You need some?
Sure.
Cleanliness and next
So
to
when he,
godliness.
when
That's
he
my bell.
digs up his nose,
That's good. I don't dig up my nose.
Oh my God! You do. Everybody does.
I'm too
You
sophisticated
just
for
like
that.
your mother.
Bishops don't do that.
When I tell you,
God has a way of making them evaporate
this
before
diva,
people see them.
this diva right here.
I'm a diva?
What?
You said that to yourself. You are a diva.
I'm a diva.
Rudolph McKenzie.
I'm a diva?
Okay, Devo.
You think I'm a diva?
You think you're a diva?
I don't think I'm a diva.
I
just
think
think
you do.
I just think I'm Rudy.
Since you told me that the other day. You know I was a diva when you met me.
I did say that though.
Exactly, because you are.
I'm a diva. All right.
Ooh, Father. Let's roll. Camera rolling. Take 1.